some frightening images out of Russia this week. Let's put up C1, and then we'll get to some video if you're watching. So this is a Newsweek headline that says, Russia primes nuclear bomb 12 times more powerful than what was dropped in Hiroshima. And indeed, he was sort of Putin, there was footage, all of this stuff kind of flaunting an ICBM this week, which is different, of course, than tactical nukes, which has sort of been the primary focus of a lot of the conversations. It's just like what the most likely scenario is that tactical nukes start going back and forth, which is not a good scenario. ICBMs, even worse scenario, of course, as the headline indicates. Let's look at C2 here, because again, yeah, so Ryan,
scary looking stuff.
Scary looking stuff. What is your reaction? What we're seeing, if you're listening, is some tanks rolling through the snow over in Russia. What do you think, Ryan? What did you think when you saw this?
The kind of nuclear saber rattling, which isn't much fun.
Yeah.
So in Northwest Washington, where I live, there's this what everybody says is a reservoir, and it's kind of this iconic like mystery in Northwest DC of like what is behind this like block-long sized area of behind the barbed wire there, and there have been construction folks out there. Everyone in the neighborhood is like, oh yeah, those are anti-aircraft missiles.
Nice.
I actually asked some of the workers as I was going past, and they're like, he's like, it is a water reservoir. I'm telling you, it's a water reservoir. He was like, what do you think it is? I was like, anti-aircraft missile? He's like, everybody says that. Like, all the neighbors are going by.
It's funny you should mention it.
But we are here in Washington, D.C., and, you know, the ICBMs, you know, I don't know how up-to-date they are. I'm not sure if they'd be able to actually get all the way over here.
Yeah, that's a big question.
But really, this is Putin's way of just trying to remind the world that he still has the ability to kind of wipe us all out, and that because things are still not going well for him. You know, we're approaching January, and his big play was, I'm going to starve Europe, basically. Energy prices in Europe are going to be through the roof. I'm going to knock out all the power in Ukraine and produce, suffering of a biblical scale, and food prices are going to be through the roof, and there will be so much pressure on Ukraine to just end this thing that I'll be able to then walk away with a victory. I think the slowing economy, ironically, an economy that I think that was partly slowed by the war itself, has, along with Jay Powell's kind of interest rate moves, has knocked down oil prices to a place where that's not really working out. That Europe part of the strategy is not working out. He's definitely producing biblical levels of suffering for Ukrainians, but it's not something that the world is necessarily concerned about. Like, yeah, they're sympathetic, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to change anybody's strategy. That's what's so brutal about being a kind of a proxy state, that you're going to suffer, and you're going to suffer endlessly. But what it shows is that Putin's plan is really not working, because we're almost in January.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is that how you interpret this, as sort of a defensive?
It does feel a little bit desperate.
Yeah.
It's like, really, you're going to nuke the world now? Come on, no, you're not.
So let's put up C3, because that plays into this as well. Yeah, you can see there, this is an exclusive from CNN, and it was confirmed by other reporters over the week. U.S. finalizing plans to send Patriot missile defense system to Ukraine. Now, actually, why this segment is so interesting is because we're getting back into the semantic battles about what constitutes a defensive military weapon. It's straight out of the Cold War. Again, what's defensive and what's not? Is Putin's ICBM and when I said defensive, I meant desperate, like you said. Right, so Patriot missile, what do you make of that move?
Those are pretty, iconically considered to be defensive. They sit outside of cities or wherever else, and they became famous during the first Gulf War. And so, I don't think that escalates things. I think the vote this week in the Senate, or the non-vote in the Senate, where Bernie Sanders pulled his Yemen resolution off the floor at the last minute, had some interesting interplay with Russia and Ukraine that didn't get discussed much, because all of this is now becoming interlocked, and nobody wants to talk about it on the Senate floor or talk about it publicly. But Iran is a central figure here. You know, Iran is kind of is a backer of the Houthis, and I don't want to say the Houthis don't have their independent agency, because they do. Like there have been instances where Iran has wanted them to do X, Y, or Z, and they have done different things.
Yes.
The Houthis are also winning this war, or you might even say they practically won it. Like it's over. Like they have swept aside so much of the UAE and Saudi-backed militias. They're on the brink of basically taking over the entire country. And you also have Iran supplying drones and you know, actively supporting Russia, getting closer to Russia. And so I think that one thing that a lot of people don't want to say out loud is that there are concerns, like if the Houthis push that much further to Saudi Arabia, and Russia can convince Iran to convince the Houthis to take some Saudi oil fields offline and send oil prices back to $150, $200 a barrel, all of a sudden now the Russian war effort is looking much stronger.
It's super interesting because also, remember, Russia was negotiating the Iran nuclear deal agreements between the Biden administration and Iran. So obviously, this is all intertwined, and a lot of China watchers, by the way, may not have been super happy to see the Patriot missile go over to Ukraine, because they're very concerned about the depletion of the United States arsenal if Xi Jinping were to move quickly or faster than people expect on Taiwan. And so this is an incredibly—
Doesn't Taiwan have Patriot missiles?
I have no idea, probably. Incredibly tangled web. Yeah,
I would. You got to ship them now. That's not like same-day delivery. For
well,
these things.
That's the difference, right? Like that's the big difference that people—
I'm not saying you should ship them, but yeah.
But that's the big difference people say is like, listen, Taiwan is an island nation, and it's not like in Europe where we have all of our allies in, like with land borders. It's a completely different type of situation, and so anyway, your point is a really good one. That this is, the longer this goes on, I think the more heavily it's weighing in on other conflicts.
And how outrageous is it that we spend $900 billion a year, and this week we're going to pass probably the highest, you know, the highest military authorization in American history. It might crack $900 billion. And we're running out of bullets already and missiles? What do you get for $900 billion?
We actually just sent newer Patriot missiles to Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there
like
you go.
This is a December 5th report. The U.S.
So much war,
proposed—
so few weapons. What a shame.
I know, it's like not enough to go around, right? The defense guys are hurting so much right now. But yeah, the U.S. has proposed selling Taiwan as many as 100 of its most advanced Patriot air defense missiles, along with radar and support equipment, in a deal valued at $882 million, according to a State Department memo obtained by Bloomberg. $882 million, and that's in another part of the world.
That'll be great for housing prices in Northern Virginia.
So when you see people freaking out because the potential Speaker of the House says maybe not a blank check to Ukraine, which is a consensus position, it should be a consensus position in a normal world, you know why.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.